So this morning I have some 3/16 mild steel, and I looked up in the Miller app on my phone, and these are the settings it recommended for my Millermatic 252. And I'm gonna just be running some stringers. I have some of this other here, which is about 3/16. But I'm just gonna try to run stringers. I've set up the steel in such a way that I don't have anywhere to brace myself, and I have a stool here, but I hope not to use the stool. So I'm just gonna see if I can use my body to brace, and I'm trying to make nice beads. And this is a MIG machine. Now I realize I haven't remembered to turn on my gas. Oh no, I did turn on the gas. The gas is on. And I think it's set to, looks like the gas is set to like 25 CFH. Let's see, I want to set my helmet to shade 9, that'll work. Now I'm going to go shade 10. Give my eyes some additional protection this morning. Okay, I'm not happy with that because it's so tall. It didn't penetrate. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move slower and make circles. I need more penetration than that. I'm also going to push. Wow, that is a lot of material. That is not a good looking bead. It makes me want to turn down the wire feed speed. I'm going to turn down the wire feed speed 10 inches per minute. Looks like I need to turn up the gas a little. So now I've turned the wire feed speed down to 320. I'm going to turn the voltage up to 19. I always have to remind myself to stay close to the work and to have a good work angle. Okay, that seems like it might work. I always have a hard time running stringers. This is a bead I just made. The reason I didn't turn up the gas is because I'm running really low on gas and it's Sunday. And I won't have a chance to get gas until Tuesday. So that is acceptable to me. I'm just upset that it's so tall. So I'm just going to try to make that work. The end of this gun is really messy. It's got some bird's nests on the end of the gun. I'll be cleaning that out really soon. Looks like I need a new, is that called a tip, a nozzle, whatever? I need a new one of those. think that's serviceable. I think this brown stuff is silicone. Yeah, I can work with that. Big stringer beads on 3/16 mild steel plate. See, I'm going to turn off my machine and do just a real quick cleaning here of this. Here's what we got here. Looks like a new contact, I don't know if that's called a contact tip. I'll have to learn what these things are called. I'm wanting to call this a nozzle. That clearly has some muck on it. So I'm going to get a pick and pull that out. Seems like the perfect tool for that. This thing came out here. That's not going to help anything. So now I just have a dirty nozzle. I'll take it. Get back to work here. Now I'm going to sit in the chair. It's all about the bracing. I'm trying to be steady and consistent with the work speed. Okay. And I had turned off the welder, so that's not going to work. That was an easy problem to troubleshoot. Taking off that little dust bunny made a huge difference. I think that dust bunny might have been obstructing things a bit. The weld I just made was here, the bead. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to keep at it here, trying to make some beautiful beads. I sure like to push. So there I realized that my work angle is too extreme. It's like a 45 degree. I would intend to go more like a 10 or 15 degree. So I'll show you guys that bead. I don't think it's bad. It's this one here. I've seen worse. Doesn't have any holes in it. And he's going for the stool. So I had picked the stool for comfort, But it turns out it had a nice benefit for stability. This was the bead I just made. I'm very happy with that. This plate is heating up a little. I might break out a piece of aluminum or my TIG finger to set down on there. So I'm just going to keep running big stringer beads. And it's a miracle that this morning I'm able to make straight beads. Usually I have such a terrible time making a straight line. This is the bead I just made. I'm very happy with it. It would appear that I have the settings dialed. I've done almost no MIG welding, so I'm just really happy. Seems I'm not getting enough penetration, but later I'll test some joints and see how that works. One thing that's always harder for me to do is to go on an outside corner like this on the end. And so I'm going to try that now. And I'm going to push. And it usually goes really badly because it seems I need to turn down the heat. And on the settings, I guess I could experiment. I could turn down the voltage, turn down the wire feed speed, since I'm going to be on the outside corner here. So I'm going to turn it down a lot. I'm going to turn it down to 17 volts. Again, this is my Millermatic 252. I love it. My Dynasty is my best friend. Not kidding. But I'm hoping that the Millermatic 252 will get in there too. And I'm going to turn down the wire feed speed accordingly. Maybe to 220. See how that works for the outside. I'm also going to get a heat sink to soak up some of the heat. Well, that's no good because it blocks your view. Well, that might block your view also. Okay, there's not going to be a heat sink. Which is why I turned down the settings. So we'll see how it works turning down the settings for an outside edge for a stringer bead on 3/16 mild steel plate or sheet, whatever you want to call it. Wow, that was some real weak sauce on the settings. I could definitely tell I had turned the settings down. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the shade down to 9, because I can't see very well. Second thing I'm going to do is turn the settings up just a tad, because that was pretty cold. 17.3, and then say 233. Well, I sure had the settings dialed when I was in the middle of the plate. And I guess I'm standing up because I want to push. I don't know why I like to push so much. palm is heating up. So here comes the TIG finger. Or as they call it, the MIG palm. Not loving my ground. Okay, that's actually the nicest that's ever worked for me. Working on the outside. I went down here like this. We're looking at the outside. Usually when I go on the outside, I don't turn down the settings and it just burns. So now let's see if I can remember what the settings were when I started out my day. It has become a memory test. Good. That's what I remember for the 3/16 mild plate, which at this point is a little preheated. So now my intention is to run stringer beads on this plate, and I want them to be pretty. And I also want them to penetrate. Trying to see what my gas setting is. It's always not as fun when you're running low on gas. It's also not fun paying for gas. That bead that I just made was this one here that the pick is on. I'm not so happy with it because it's tall. I always say that looks like an earthworm, which is not a compliment. So in response to that, I think what I would do is try to work faster. I realize I could also turn down the wire feed speed. notice it's sputtering a little, and I don't know why that is. So there I slowed down. No, I sped up. And I get this, and I had sped up, and it's still an earthworm, it's just a thinner earthworm. It seems to me that I would want more penetration. So I'm going to go turn up the voltage and leave the wire feed speed where it is, and turn the voltage up to 19, hoping that stringer bead will burn into the base metal a little more. I would want my bead profile to be a lot lowered. That was some pretty serious sputtering. And here's what that bead looks like. Right here. Looks okay. My base metal is getting pretty warm. If my base metal gets too warm, I have no problem pulling out a different piece of metal here. As I was making that bead, I was wondering, is it penetrating enough? And I'm going to try a joint here. This is the bead I just made. And I wouldn't know if it's penetrating enough without cutting it open. So I'm going to try a joint. This is 3/16. This is 3/16. So I'm going to try a butt joint right here, because I'm curious about the penetration. It's got mill scale, it's got a little bit of rust, and it's not clamped down. So I'm just going to hit it here. The settings seem okay. Again, we have the tall bead that I'm working on this piece here. Looks like I might have welded it to the table a little bit. Right here. It's such a tall bead, so I think I'm going to work faster. anybody any good having a bead that's sticking up 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to travel faster. I don't think that's terrible. When I'm done, I'm going to turn it over and see how it penetrated. So I think that works nicely, traveling faster. Well, I ended up with a big old gap there because I failed to tack it. What I should have done is tack, because now what I've got is a big old gap. So that is not good. So let's see if I've welded this to the table. So if I have a look at it, I wouldn't be able to see the penetration unless I cut it. So keeping in mind that I have a gap here, I'll just run it here, a butt weld. This gap is just, I guess I could try to fill the gap. And then once I get up here, it's normal. This is a big old gap. That's like what am I trying to say? Over 1/8. I don't know if it's that much. It might be approaching 1/8 of an inch of a gap. So that's filling the gap, which I did, which worked nicely. I've got that low profile bead that I've been wanting. And now I'll just do a normal butt weld here. That went very nicely. It's easier to weld on joints than it is to run stringer beads. That one I just did was here, which I think is very serviceable. So welding joints is fun, welding stringer beads, more challenging. So I'm going to see if I welded this to the table, and I'm going to continue to run stringer beads. Okay, got off course a little there. And I did weld this to the table, so that's fun. The settings aren't terrible, but I think the settings could be improved upon a little bit. always have to continually remind myself to stay close to the work and to have more of a perpendicular angle. This is the bead I just made. I am sort of happy with it. It's always a challenge for me to make a straight line. It's not running nicely, so I'm going to have to look at the settings again. It's sputtering. That seemed to go okay. And miraculously, I'm able to weld in a straight line today. This is the bead I just made. I like the looks of it. So I think this is going well. I'll just keep running stringers. It was sputtering because I was too far from the work. If I get closer to the work, the sputtering goes away. There's more sputtering. That sputtering is happening at the same spot on the plate. Also, when I'm welding in a straight line, I'm having to hold my breath. So that's interesting. So I think what I'm going to do is make an adjustment here and stand up. I need the TIG finger. Here I'm going to make another adjustment. Because I want to be comfortable. What I want to do is I'd set that up earlier, purposely make it so I didn't have anywhere to brace myself. But now I'm feeling like I really want to be nicely braced. I want a nice triangular. So I'm going to I'm going to do the physical setup on the workbench, and then I'm going to put the piece, I'm going to put the work piece where I want it to be. So this is how I want to be. I want to be like this. So I guess the plate will be right there.